All right, ma'am, at this time, there are two deputies standing behind you, and at this time, I'm going to remand you into the custody of the Warren County Sheriffs for purposes of transporting you to the Department of Corrections. Are you pregnant or anything, ma'am? All right. Case number 25-CR42424, the State of Ohio versus Erica O'Kear. Ms. O'Kear is before the court with her counsel, Mr. Cicero. Is here on behalf of the State of Ohio. We're here for sentencing. Everyone had an opportunity to review the pre-sentence investigation?
On behalf of the state, Ms. Burrell is here and has informed me that the victim is not available today. However, does give her consent for the sentencing to go forward today. She has been made aware of the date. This is, as the court knows, this is an agreed recommended sentence, 18 months in prison with the possibility for just judicial release after the defendant has served 6 months successfully in prison to be placed on community control in some fashion thereafter. We would ask the court impose that. My understanding is that there is no restitution request, and we would just ask for the mandatory minimum penalties on the OVI as far as the fine goes.
All right.
We did file a sentencing memorandum. I think that conveys to the court that, at least in my history of practice, I have never had a client so remorseful from the outset and so proactive in changing herself and rectifying the situation or situations that caused her to be before this court. We will submit an application for judicial release at the appropriate time, and I hope the court does look favorably upon it. She is not someone that you haven't had any problems with her pretrial. You won't have any post-sentence as well.
All right, thank you. Ms. O'Kear, is there anything you'd like to say?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you for the opportunity. Your Honor, thank you for allowing me to speak. On my behalf, I do take full responsibility for the harm and the accident that I've caused on November the 19th. And my poor judgment has led me to a lot of wreckage that I'm trying to clean up currently right now. There's not a day that I do not go by thinking about the victim that I hit. In fact, she was actually the age of my oldest daughter. So I can only imagine what she was going through, what her family went through, and I am truly very sorry. And I know that I have to show that in action, and I've done that. I've been sober for 428 days today, and I have been through every program possible for recovery. I have 2 sponsees currently right now. I have a sponsor. My sponsor has a sponsor. I attend weekly meetings. I've done 90 plus 90, even more than that. I go 3 times a day sometimes. So I have truly am in recovery, and the only thing that I'm asking the court today is that they have grace and mercy, and I realize I signed a plea bargain, but grace and mercy for the sake of my children and my granddaughter, and the fact that I'm just trying to show them in action. They now have their mother back, and that means a lot to me. And so, throughout this process, my faith has been restored. I'm touching lives of others, and I'm just committing to this sober life. And as you work towards my sentencing, I do, like I said, take full responsibility. And I realize, and I tell my children this, every decision that you make, there's always an action or consequence behind it. And this has truly been a learning experience for me and a learning experience for my family. And so, I just want to continue being a member of the community and allowing what I have learned to be able to help the next one. And at the time, I was a very sick person. I know my alcohol levels were out of whack, off the chart. I understand that, but I was taking some medicine that was prescribed, which played a big part in also being a gastric bypass patient. So, my judgment was very much taken from all of that.
So, Kier, you certainly are not the type of person that we typically see here, nor that we expect to see here. I do appreciate your insight I will say as well that Mr. Cicero has done an excellent job on your behalf. I typically don't comment on that, but to get the prosecutor to agree to remove this from a mandatory prison sentence. Now, I understand that's still part of the agreed sentence, but 6 months is better than 24 months or 36 months. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So you have to recognize that, but I do appreciate you taking responsibility, accountability, and I agree with you 100%. Every decision that you make in life has consequences. Good decisions have good consequences. Bad decisions have bad consequences, and sometimes it takes something tragic to happen for us to recognize that. But I do appreciate your insight. The court has considered the statements made here today, pre-sentence investigation, the purposes and the principles of sentencing, the relevant seriousness and recidivism factors. The court has considered the agreed recommended sentence of the parties and finds it to be an appropriate sentence. So I'm going to order you to serve 18 months in the Department of Corrections. You have on that count 1, on count 2, the OVI, I'm going to order you to serve 180 days in the Warren County Jail. That to be served concurrent with the 18 months. You have 3 days jail time credit so far. On the OVI, there is a 5-year operator's license suspension, which I am imposing. That 5-year suspension will be effective as of today, 1/21/26. There is a $375 fine on the OVI charge, which I do not have the authority to waive in any manner. So I am going to assess that fine against you. Other than that fine, the court's going to find that you're indigent for the purposes of other fines, costs, financial sanctions. There is no restitution requested. Now, you're also subject to a discretionary period of post-release control, which only comes into play if you serve out your 18-month sentence. What that means is that when you are released at the end of that sentence, the Adult Parole Authority may choose to supervise you for up to 2 years. If you violate those rules of supervision, the Adult Parole Authority can return you to prison for up to 1/2 this court's original sentence. If your violation is that you commit another felony, you can be returned to prison for 1 year or the period that you have left on PRC, whichever is longer, and that time would run consecutive to any additional prison time that you get sentenced to. Now, there may be opportunities for you to receive up to 1 day per month for participating in certain education, vocation, or other programs that are sponsored by the Department of Corrections. You do have a right to appeal the court's decision of your sentence to the 12th District Court of Appeals. If you want to appeal, you must file your notice of appeal within 30 days of today's date. If you can't afford to pay for the transcript or anything necessary for your appeal, that can be provided to you at no cost. If you cannot afford an attorney, I will appoint one for you at no cost. Now, final word, I have committed myself to granting you judicial release after you've served 6 months. Mr. Cicero is aware of that time frame and when he's going to file his motion for consideration. It'll be in a 2-step process. The first step, it'll be set for a conference with me. And the reason that we do that is if I'm inclined to decline it or deny it, if I bring you back from prison and I deny it, you cannot file it again. So we typically do not bring people back at that first conference. Mr. Cicero is aware of this. Then if I indicate to him that I'm going to grant it, we will then transport you back, and you at that point in time will not be going back to prison. The only thing I ask is that you have no infractions while you are incarcerated. Okay, so follow the rules of the institution where you're at. I'm not going to commit to any type of treatment options at this point in time because I think it's best to wait and see where you are in 6 months to determine what level of care may be necessary. Okay, make sense to you?
Yes.
Any questions for me?
No.
Ms. Tranter, is there anything else?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Mr. Cicero?
No, thank you, Judge.
All right, ma'am, at this time, there are 2 deputies standing behind you, and at this time, I'm going to remand you into the custody of the Warren County Sheriffs for purposes of transporting you to the Department of Corrections. Are you pregnant or anything, ma'am?
No.
All right, I only ask you that for their protection because they have certain requirements if a young lady is pregnant with regard to how they take you into custody, okay? So at this time, Deputy Rhodes is standing directly behind you. Thank you. Good luck to you. I'll see you in 6 months.